We have some gameplay of Perona versus Katakuri. This is an interesting matchup that is kind of difficult to play from the Perona side because you have to make a judgment of how well you can deal with the triggers that they might be putting out, but you also have to be considerate of the fact that they're going to start chaining 10 cost Big Mom later in the game, so you can't really stall out the game that far, and you do have to pressure those lives. I have the deck lists here. If I can make changes to the deck list in the future, I might reduce the Sabo count in Perona for some cards that will help more efficient removal, like potentially Ice Age. And for Katakuri, I probably want to take out some cards for the new 0 cost yellow event. That event, if it's your last life and it's your trigger, you can trash a card and add another life, which is strong in Katakuri because you can choose to put it at the bottom, and you just have a lot of bricks, so using the 0 cost event can allow you to have a lot more counter instead of just 4 big moms that you don't end up using all of them. And okay, so let's get into the games. So I'm going first in this game, which is generally disadvantageous because Perona likes to go second, as most of its cards are even cost. Katakuri also historically likes to go second because that allows them to play their 10 drop Big Mom on their 5th turn. But it's okay, it just means basically I'll be using an extra Dawn on my leader swings each turn. And here I swing 6 at life. Some Katakuri players choose to take their early lives, some will counter out of them so that the triggers are more punishing later, and it's just kind of up to who you're playing against what's going to happen there. Here she establishes Parasparrow. I could potentially rest the Parasparrow and swing over it with my leader, but then that just give her an opportunity to flush out her curve early, and Pudding's a threatening enough body due to the inclusion of Amaru in Katakuri, so I just choose to get value off of my brand new and remove her Pudding and push at her life a little more, which gets another counter out of hand. And here I establish Kuzan because Kuzan's really strong in the Katakuri, which will oftentimes just be playing one big body each turn. And with Kuzan, you can swing at them, reduce that big body, then rest it with leader, and then KO it with either X-Drake or Ryuma. So here she's swinging at my life with her characters. She puts my life to the bottom, so I know it's something probably pretty good I'll be getting in the future. And then she KOs the brand new with Gadatsu. So it was nice that the brand new got the value of swinging into Pudding there before getting that free KO on him. And here I know I'm going to be able to remove the Gadatsu between leader effect and the reduction on Kuzan. So I just swing in a Parasparrow because I knew if it was a trigger there, having 2 bodies on board and her leader swing to my 2 life was just going to be far too threatening. And I choose not to add extra Dawn onto the Kuzan or my leader when swinging at Parasparrow, because I want to make sure that those Dawn get value, and if she had chosen to just let the Parasparrow go, then it would have been wasted, but with Corazon I know that I'm at least getting some value, and here he does stop one of these 9k swings that she splits. And now she just establishes a Pudding and gets herself another 2k. And going into my 9 Dawn turn here, I'm going to be trying to put some pressure on her life because as Katakuri gets into the later turns, they're able to just spam those 10 cost Big Moms, and if you haven't already put some pressure on them, it's going to be really hard to recover if they're going to 4 or 5 life in their later turns. And although Perona also scales better into the later turns using Doflamingo and Moria, those aren't really quite to the power level of 10 cost Big Mom, so it can be hard to keep up. And Brook is a really good card in this matchup. It deals with both the new Okiku, which has a really powerful on KO effect, and Parasparrow quite nicely because it just puts them into the trash, which therefore bypasses the on KO effects. And here she's just following the expected curve, establishing a 7 cost Linlin and then getting herself a 10 cost Big Mom. And now I'm matching her 10 Dawn, And so I know that there's going to be another 10 cost Big Mom on my next turn, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to prepare for that and how I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to be able to win this game, and I'm going to be able to survive. I need to be able to survive my next turn, so I'm going to do that by establishing some blockers. I see in my hand that I'm able to play 2 Borsalino and a Corazon, and so that means I'm definitely going to be safe into the next turn because she's at 3 life. There's no way she's going to be able to Amaru away those Borsalinos, and I'm going to then be able to, after I'm establishing my 10 cost Doflamingo in my subsequent turns to keep her stuff rested, I'm going to have some bodies behind it to swing at her life to put some pressure on her. And here I'm just swinging before playing my 10 cost. I choose to swing with one of the Borsalinos because I don't feel like I'm in a very comfortable position, and if I can force more cards out of her hand, I'm going to feel a lot better, even though I could have potentially been punished there by an Onami, and then I would have just lost to a 22 swing from Big Mom. I took that risk because sometimes you just kind of have to gamble against yellow in order to be able to put yourself in a position where you can actually win the game. And her being at 4 life is a pretty scary situation. So, and I have another 10 cost in hand, so I'm just going to be able to stall the game another turn. And she's going to choose not to swing with her 10 cost Big Moms so that she doesn't get trapped by a third Doflamingo. If she had swung with those, then I would have just been forced to block with my Borsalinos, but now I'm in a position where I'm just gonna go for the game. She only has 4 cards in hand, and I don't feel like there's no way that I'm gonna be able to survive the next turn, but unfortunately the first life is Amaru. That means that I can only survive 1 more trigger / her countering out of an attack from hand. So she gets a second Amaru. This means that I'm in a position, and she's at 0 cards in hand now, so this means that I'm in a position where I know all my swings are going to be going through, but I will lose to a Beige, or I will lose to her last life being an Amaru to trash the other 2 life that she draws. So I just swing 5, I know that's going through. She has 0 cards, then 7, I know that's going through with 1 card, and now I have these 2 big body swings. 10 is a confirmed. And as long as it's not a Beige or an Amaru, I win here with my final Doflamingo swing, and it is not, so that's the game for me. Alright, so for this game, I have a more optimal curve. I'm going second. She doesn't have a first turn Pudding, and I don't have a first turn Brand New or Baby 5. She doesn't have a second turn play either, so she just swings at my life. She checks her first life, and she chooses to leave it there, which is pretty scary for me because my hand is just full of bricks and no removal. So any trigger bodies that she might establish, like Okiku, Perispero, Satori, are just going to be too punishing for me, and because of that, I choose not to swing at her life, which then in turn causes an awkward situation, knowing that 10 drop Big Moms are going to be coming down later, and she's going to be at a high life total while that's happening. So I'm just establishing Kuzan so that I can maybe deal with the threats that she's going to be putting on in the future. And here I get the Baby 5, so I'm going to put the Baby 5 down. Baby 5 oftentimes, when your opponent doesn't have a board, functions as a blocker because they're forced to swing into her so that you don't get repeated value. I'm hoping to do that to find a card off of her that can help me and force a swing into it. And I find a Virgo, and then she swings at my life, meaning that she probably has some other way to deal with the Baby 5. And I choose to counter out here and block with Borsalino using my 0 cost event, because that allows me to... Why am I taking so long, bro? Okay, there we go. And so I use the 0 cost event to trash a Brand New. That allows me to use 8 cost Moria on my next turn to play back both the Kuzan that she KO'd and that Brand New. And so that means that I basically stopped that 8k attack for just the 1 0 cost card. And then off of Brand New, I get Corazon. Corazon's super cool because he's double searchable. He's both a Navy and Don Quixote Pirates. And here I have a pretty solid looking board. The issue is that she's still at 5 life, and on her next turn she's going to be at 10 Dawn and be able to play some 10 drop Big Moms. She clears the brand new, which is fine. I can probably just play it off another Moria. I have a few of those in hand. And she plays the Nami to swing 9 with Banish, which kind of just forces the Borsalino block. And the Borsalino is also another character that I can just bring back with Moria. So I'm feeling okay in this situation. That high life total is pretty scary, so I'm going to start pressuring her life. And that first life wasn't even a trigger, so I could have definitely played a little bit more aggressively, but if it had been a trigger, there was just no way that I was going to be coming back from that. And here I play the next Moria and am able to put down the Borsalino blocker, and then I get to choose between either the Corazon or the brand new again. I choose the brand new just because I still don't have very much counter in hand, and I'm looking to build that up so that maybe I can find a way to win by spamming 10 cost Doflamingo. And she plays that 10 drop Big Mom, forcing me down to just 1 life and putting herself back up to 5, though I have a solid board that hopefully can carry me into a position where I'm able to go for the game. And I use Kuzan here to show off that combo where I'm going to reduce the Big Mom by 4, and then I'll play a Suru, and then I'll use leader ability to rest it, and then I'll play Ryuma to KO it. Her triggering that Perispero is pretty painful for me there, because I was just kind of hoping that there wouldn't be a trigger and I could be in a safe position, but knowing that she has 3 swings at least and could potentially reject Amaru if I only establish 1 blocker, I have to get rid of some of my pressure in order to establish those core zones so that I can feel safe going into this turn, and then that gets punished by just another 10 drop. And so here I'm in a position where it's gonna be pretty difficult for me to survive the next turns. She's playing around 10 cost Doflamingo by not swinging with her characters, so that I can't just get her in that lock and then put pressure on her with the characters I do have. I'm hoping that I will be able to survive this next turn, and part of that process is removing Okiku with Brook. I don't have really a good way to remove Okiku otherwise because of that insane on KO effect. And then I just play the Kuzan to draw another card, hopefully a counter. And then she just has another 10 drop Big Mom, putting her in a pretty comfortable position here. I don't have many other options other than to just go for the game. So I swing 7 on that first one, no trigger, and she takes it. Then I swing 9, and she chooses to take it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, she has no counter in her hand. I'm gonna be good to just attach 8 and swing 13. And no, she was just baiting me. She had 5 2Ks in hand, and she KO'd my Borsalino with that trigger. So there's nothing I can do here. I have 1 Corazon and like a couple counters to protect me from 2 Big Mom. She's just bullying me, resting that Corazon, swings Big Mom, and I have total 7K counter, so I can't even get out of that. And that's the game.